Welcome back, world, again. I'm Joel. Yes, that's my phrase to start. I'm Joel. This is Chris. And we're talking 80s music, and this is our second artist we're covering. Our first one was Huey Lewis and the News. Today it's Phil Collins. Wow, two drummers ranking Phil Collins really hard. High. Go figure. Anyways, I wanted to start this video first by asking Chris some questions, and maybe you know this as well, but we're going to go off tangent here. Kenny Loggins is known as the movie king because he has like 7 songs from movies.
Soundtracks.
If you think about it, it really is whittled down to 4 movies. I'm going to say the 4 movies because 2 of his songs come from the Caddyshack franchise. Even though 2 separate movies, still franchise. 2 came from Top Gun.
Top Gun, right.
2 came from Footloose. And then 1 came from Over the Top, of Sylvester Stallone movie. With that, you get 7 songs. However, only 5 of them really ranked in the top 40. 2 of them not as well known. But today, he's known as the king of movies. But today, we're doing Phil Collins, and guess what? He happens to have, at the minimum, I think...
Did you say 5?
5 that were ranked.
Okay.
He has 7 total, but 5 that were ranked.
7 movies? Or 7
songs from those movies. That's why I just went through that whole
spiel. So
so
trivia, I have to guess all the movies?
Phil Collins, you can guess the song and the movie it goes to. Phil Collins, I think, has 6. Now, I'm not including Brother Bear because it did not rank. He might have sang a song from there, but it didn't rank. So, Chris gets trivia. Give me the 6 songs that Phil Collins has specifically from movies.
Well, I'll just give you the ones that are on the top of my head then. I don't know if I'm going to get them all. But I believe Hello, I Must Be Going? No, is that a song? Hello, Goodbye.
We said Hello, Goodbye.
We said Hello, Goodbye, and that's from Playing for Keeps.
Playing for Keeps, there's your one.
Which I don't even think I ever saw that movie. Against All Odds from the same movie. You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan. I know he had one from Buster, but I have no idea what it's
2 from Buster.
2 from Buster? Is that Groovy Kind of Love?
That's one of them.
And 2 Hearts?
2 Hearts. Both of those ranked number 1.
Those were guesses, too.
Both of those were ranked number 1. So there's 5, which means you're missing 1.
1 movie?
1 more movie and song. And it also reached number 1. And it'd be the least memorable of all songs. As a matter of fact, it might be the one song I'm like, that should have never reached number 1.
Am I going to get it?
It's possible. Can I tell you it's a duet with somebody?
Oh, it's from Night Moves.
White Nights.
White Nights. It was not Separate Lives from White Nights.
No, you said Night Moves. That's not the movie. That was actually Marilyn Martin, the woman in that video with Phil Collins.
That was her single.
She had a single called Night Moves.
Okay.
And if we ever do a movie on these one-hit wonders from the 80s, then these songs that you would pick as pretty good, but then the artist dropped off the face of the planet.
Would she be considered a one-hit wonder since she had to duet with Phil Collins? So now she has 2 hits.
And I'm actually not even sure that's considered a hit. It didn't get that high, but it's a good song. So there's a lot of songs like that.
That's all I forgot. Yeah.
So
your hints helped me out there.
So you were close. So could Phil Collins be the movie king? He had and I think probably his hits from the movies all ranked higher than Kenny Loggins' hits did. Now, last week you'll recall that "Power of Love" was Huey Lewis's top hit, according to me and Chris. Chris and I, or whatever you want to call it, grammar kings.
Nazis.
Mom. But Phil Collins, believe it or not, his first number 1 hit was also from a movie. Out of all those, which one was it? What would be your guess?
His first hit?
His first number 1 hit.
Oh, his first number one.
Power of Love was Huey Lewis.
That was probably Against All Odds.
Against All Odds, correct. Now, his first hit was the song you ranked as number 1.
I thought it was In the Air Tonight, and it got really popular because it was played on Miami Vice.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? I had forgotten about that.
That's.
And not only that, Phil Collins actually had a role on that, Phil the Shill or something like that. I think it
So like
was
a
only
nightclub owner
only
or
one
something like
episode.
that?
It's cool seeing these '80s artists in TV shows. I think Glenn Fry had a role on
he
Miami
did
Vice.
Smuggler's Blues. Yeah.
Yes. So if you look at our chart here, if you can't see it, I'll go through it. But so Phil Collins obviously was the drummer in a band called Genesis. If nobody knew that. For some reason.
Yeah. Oh, who's Genesis?
Yeah. And during the 70s, that was his thing until Peter Gabriel dropped out of Genesis after they had their biggest album. And then Phil Collins took over singing duties. They eventually whittled down to 3 members. But then in the 80s, Phil decided, yes, I'm on a first name basis here. Phil decided that he was going to do his own solo career. However, he didn't totally split off. He went back and forth on a yearly basis. 1980 was that, what came first, Duke or Abacab?
Duke was.
So in 1980 he had Duke. In 1981 he released Face Value. At the same time they released Abacab. So he was on 2 albums that year. 1 year later he released his second solo. How you're able to put out albums every year, I don't know. And then after that would have been their self-titled Genesis album. Then he skipped a year being on his own album or Genesis album, and then the big one. Again, there's that year, 1985. He explodes with No Jacket Required. Now, do you remember the first time we ever saw No Jacket Required?
Yeah, it was when we stayed the night at our grandma's house, and our aunt had a cassette, so we played it.
And we were up in her loft looking at her music. She had, here's the trivia, what else did she have?
She had REO Speedwagon's Wheels Are Turning.
Wheels Are Turning, and I remember she had Heart's first album, right?
Maybe. I remember All Night Long from Lionel Richie.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't remember all that she had, but I remember specifically those first 3.
Right.
Okay, so before this, I mean, he was a good artist, but I think this shot him into like the #1 star on the planet, and it felt like he was everywhere. Like he was working hard because he's in 2 bands, in his own and theirs. And also in 1985, I don't know how many people know this, but if you've seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, you would know this. That in 1985 there was this event called Live Aid, and the reason I mentioned that is Queen for Bohemian Rhapsody. That's considered the song that defined that whole event. But there were 2 concerts, one in Philadelphia and one overseas in London. And Phil Collins, at least I think, he might be the only artist that played in both of them. So I felt like he was a busy guy, and not like I knew him or anything.
Yeah, and he had a video. I don't know if it was the first. What was the first video he put out?
I think it was Susudio.
Susudio?
Yes.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't
One
Billy.
more?
Don't Lose My Number.
I don't believe so.
Okay, but Don't Lose My Number had a lot of parodies in it.
Yes.
He
imitated other people's videos.
But at the start of that video, he's talking to reporters, and he says, and that's why the album is called No Jacket Required. We didn't get to hear the reason. We're hearing the afterthought. He just told the reporters this.
But I've heard the story of why.
I always thought it was because it's Phil Collins. He's so popular that, they call the inside cover a jacket.
Correct.
And I thought, oh, you don't even need the jacket. Just the cassette says Phil Collins.
Weird Al did a parody of that. He said this didn't sell very good because there was no jacket, and it scratched up the record and everything.
But I've heard since he was at a restaurant,
and they wouldn't let him go because he didn't have a jacket. He actually had a jacket on.
He didn't have the right kind of jacket.
Correct.
Yeah, and later they found out. The restaurant found out, and like, you can come in whenever you want without a jacket.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Because we've been putting personal stories in here. Do you remember in the marching band, they had us play Susudio? And do you remember, because it started with bass drum and that's what we played with, they were trying to lead us in a practice, and we were supposed to be the first starters and we didn't have a clue how to play it. Do you remember?
Sort of.
But they're like, what are you two doing? I remember that vividly. I'm like,
I remember one set was entirely of Billy Joel songs.
oh, okay. Yes, that was when we had drum sets in a gymnasium. I remember that. But I remember Studio. And for some reason, we didn't know how the song went, and we were slower than they required. And they're like,
we might not have been fans. At that point, we might not have been fans.
And the whole band was looking at us like, you guys are idiots. Especially when you look at how popular that song was.
Yeah, and that
to...
song was not supposed to be called Studio. It's a
he was going to come up with a different title
word. He just put that in a place.
He was going to come up with it
later.
Nothing else fit, so he kept it. All right, so he had a soundtrack. He had, we already mentioned Separate Lives Here, I believe, is what that is. 2 years later, he had the whole. Well, he didn't do the whole Buster soundtrack, but again, he starred in the movie. Then he had But
Did the movie do that good? Probably not.
I don't know. It had critical rave reviews, but I don't know. But if you take away. We said Hello Goodbye because technically it wasn't a hit until the next movie came out, and I believe that was down here too, in '88. This is when Playing for Keeps came out. But when you look at, you go get the DVD or CD from the library, it's on No Jacket Required, but it wasn't there originally. And there's two different versions. The one on that album sucks. Get the movie version because it's a whole lot better, longer. But seriously, actually had just as many hits as No Jacket Required. But you'll see we didn't rank those as high, although I like a lot of them. And then they had a live version come the 90s. Genesis put out their last album in '91. I forgot to mention here, this is...
Invisible Touch?
Remember when we had Invisible Touch?
Yeah, as a record.
We listened to that and we said we like every song. We thought that was a perfect album. And that came right after No Jacket Required, so they were doing awesome right around this time. And then after the 90s, a lot of it starts only having one or two hits on the albums, and they're not memorable until you get to Tarzan, which is our last hit, his last big hit, top 40, and it will be in our top 10. And that's You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan, and it was made for Phil Collins' daughter Lily. In case you don't know who she is, she was in the movie Mirror, Mirror with Julia Roberts, and she played Snow White. That's his daughter. She's an actress. I don't think she sings, but that's what the song is based off of. And then he did have a hit off of Testify, Can't Stop Loving You or Losing You. Loving You. I think it's Loving You.
And a couple hits, I think.
And then 8 years later, he tried to do the Huey Lewis thing where he went back in time. Cover songs, and there's a picture of him as a kid, which is kind of cool.
That's another thing they do. He has if you get his old albums now.
That is, yeah, I like what he did.
He has his face now, his old face on the cover. But he has the position of...
Same position
that he had.
It's kind of interesting that he did that.
He got a lot of wrinkles.
And for these artists, Huey Lewis, I didn't mention this from Huey Lewis. Again, I could have done it on our short segment, but a couple years back, there was a rumor that Huey Lewis was going to put out an album. That was in 2019. And then I went to Snopes, and they're like, nah, that's a myth. Huey Lewis is losing his hearing. They can't put out an album. And then 1 year later, they put out Weather with 7 songs. I'm like, did they lie? Did they not know? And is he losing his hearing? You put it out on an album. Well, Phil Collins, I remember him doing an interview where it says he couldn't remember lyrics anymore. You get so old that you're like, well, how's the song go?
Well, all he can do now is sing, really.
Yes.
I guess he's getting feeling back in his hands, but he had an injury from doing drumming. So he couldn't play piano or drum anymore, so all he could do is sing. And he was out in limelight for a while.
Yeah.
Now he's touring with Genesis.
And and you like their title of their tour? We're Not Dead Yet.
Oh, yeah. That was the name of his book.
Oh, is it?
I'm Not Dead Yet, I think.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's the history of Phil Collins, and I'll just do it now, since we just did the history. What's your favorite album?
No Jacket Required.
No Jacket Required. And I agree there. Yeah. Even though, but seriously, again, Huey Lewis had the 2 albums. You're like debating which one's better, and we have difference. Here you could have debated because, but seriously, was just just as many hits as No Jacket Required. But again, I think we agree. No Jacket Required's better. When the year everything was good. All right, so
there's only one song I don't really care about, and that's the one he did with Sting. Every other song I like on that album.
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with it because it's different.
It is different, but it's probably my least favorite of the album.
Not mine. You know what my least favorite is?
One More Night.
One More Night. And I found myself when I was ranking songs from most artists, is I just had a habit of putting the upbeat songs ahead of the slower songs.
Yeah.
Even though Phil Collins, he probably had like 6 songs that were all ballads that probably could be interchangeable.
Well, if we were 2 women up here, we'd be having all the ballads would be up top. And
that's true. So we'll go ahead and get to the ranking since you already reset the camera. And I'm going to argue with you right now. 2 of the songs, let's go there too. If you wanted to hear a song on the radio from Phil Collins that you don't hear very often, what would it be?
You put me on the spot. I gotta think through his whole list.
Yeah.
I never hear "You'll Be in My Heart" ever.
Really? Yeah. I have to look at YouTube in order to hear most of his stuff, but I would love to hear Who Said I Would. That's supposedly...
Was that a hit single?
It went to 77.
I didn't even know that was released.
When it was this live album right here in the 90s, he released that one, and it got as high as 77. Now, when No Jacket Required... And again, on No Jacket Required, Inside Out was played all the time. Considered not released as a single. Go figure.
I think I would like to hear I Cannot Believe It's True. I never hear that on the radio.
Yeah. Yes. And I think if anybody's ever heard Eric Clapton's August...
Oh yeah, Phil Collins plays drums on that.
He played drums on that album, but there's a song... on that album, and I wish I knew exactly which one it was, but the drums that he uses on one of his songs for No Jacket Required, he uses the exact same beat on there. I think it's Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore. I think he uses it on a song called Hold On August, I think. I'd have to listen to him again. Okay, so let's get to our top 10. Again, we do this in reverse. I'll let you know what he ranked a song as, what I ranked a song as, and what our average put it at that spot. By the way, Chris ranked Another Day in Paradise as his number 10 song. It's not going to make our list, so it'll be an honorable mention song. Somehow, you like that song better than Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. Why? And I'll tell you what, Another Day, it sounds like a social justice warrior song, which is probably why I don't like it.
Oh.
It talks about the homeless people. I'm not against, helping homeless, but to me it's depressing listening to that song when you're talking about people avoiding homeless people. I'm like, why would you want that to be at the hit?
Little trivia on Something Happened on the Way to Heaven is the drum part that intros the song. Is the same drum part.
Land of Confusion for Genesis. Yes, I thought about bringing my drumsticks. Tell me what song this is and playing it. You could, because it can be either one, right? And then but seriously, I like Hanging Long Enough. If you listen to that, he's got a little video where they're on the Titanic playing it. And good horns on that. I love that song, and you didn't rank it in your top 10.
You own that song.
Yeah, that's true. I got But Seriously, and you have, do you have No Jacket Required?
I had No Jacket Required.
Oh, you don't have it anymore.
It was a cassette, and they don't last. Last time I put in a cassette player, I was like, entire everything's playing. I can hear this whistle the whole time. I'm like, okay, this tape's dead.
All right, so anyways... Starting off in the top 10, we got a place where you can do your argument. Now, I don't rank this song high, at least when it's on the radio. But if you ever see Phil Collins perform this live, it's awesome. If I base this off of that, you should know what I'm talking about. When he plays this live, it's awesome. Everybody loves it. It was even imitated on a TV show called Carpoolers. People are sitting quietly in the car listening to the song. As soon as the drum part comes, in the
air tonight.
In the air tonight.
I ranked
you have that number one, and again, you have your Billy Joel thing where it's iconic. that doesn't necessarily mean you like to listen to it because
I listen to it every time it comes on. My favorite part is at the beginning when the guitar goes.
Now, you've heard the other version where they actually play
There's
the
drums the entire song. Yeah,
that ruins it. That ruins it. I hate that they did that. So mine was 21, his was 1. So it's similar to I Know What I Like from Huey Lewis. Where you had to write down the list.
If you're listening to us, you understand that he's right?
Well, I can get a shirt. I love this shirt that says I could agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. I love that shirt. Okay, so number 2, and again, the fact that this is even on the list, I wanted to rank it higher, but the slower the song are, but it also does have good drums, even though it's slow, and that's against all odds. I think in high school, when the yearbook said, "What's your favorite song?" I actually put this as my favorite song.
Well, that also has an iconic drum solo when it goes into the second part of the song.
Yes. That one's. I think that one's more iconic because again, it hit number 1. In the Air Tonight. Get this, In the Air Tonight and I Missed Again were his 2 hits from Face Value. Both of them stopped at number 19, ranking wise. Okay, so number 8. I Cannot Believe It's True. I rank this as number 11. You rank this as number 6. So you apparently do like that beginning. Can you do the beginning on drums right there? I've tried it over and over, even when we got the big tom-toms on top. I can't do it ever. By the way, Against All Odds, I have it as number 10. He has it at number 7. I think at one point I did have it higher, but I kept pushing it down as I listened to, but seriously, more. Kept going dropping. Number 7, Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. Again, I like this song.
You'd have had it higher, but mine brought it down, right?
That's great. My favorite song from But Seriously. Even better than Hanging Long Enough, because it was on the radio probably more often. You had this way down to 12. So this is other than In the Air Tonight, this was our biggest gap. Next one, You'll Be in My Heart, number 6, which I put as number 6. You have at number 9. Number 5 is a song that you would swear it's a Phil Collins song, but it wasn't on a Phil Collins album, and that was Easy Lover. It came from a Philip Bailey album called Chinese Wall.
Okay, yeah, and Phil Bailey was in
Earth, Wind and Fire.
Right?
Yes, and again, I would never, Earth, Wind and Fire won't be on our list of bands. We didn't listen to them.
They were more 70s anyways, weren't they?
I don't know.
I think they were more 70s.
I haven't sat down to listen to even know whether that's true or not. But that came in at number 5, even though it doesn't sound like a very good topic. It's them going back and forth with the vocals is one of the highlights of the song. They mix very well together, especially at the end when they're both trying to outdo each other with their trying to make you feel. And he had the high voice. It was pretty good. Okay, and it had a good guitar solo. So Phil Collins was known for drums. That was a good guitar solo in that one. Number 3 was my number 1. He ranked as number 8. And again, I could say, why is this so low? But it was Susudio, the song that propelled him up. I think it was the one that propelled him up. Because you just watched the video. In the video, he got propelled up. He starts off, and the people in the pub are like, yeah.
And they're all leaving because they don't like the music. So
and then he plays that, and they're like rocking in the joint.
And I knew that video came out before One More Night, because One More Night, they're at the same place, and they're closing up. Right. So obviously,
now,
the second video.
That band's not Tower of Power. But again, here you got a second band. Huey Lewis had Tower of Power. Phil Collins uses this good horn section. Trump, yeah. So you had a lot of instruments during the 80s that people used.
He had a lot of horns. He had horns on his first drum. Too.
Yeah, and for the number 2 song, I actually did rank as number 2. You ranked as number 5, and that is Take Me Home. And I actually like that it's ahead of Susudio. Even though I listed it ahead of Susudio, I like listening to this on the radio more than Susudio, even though I think that's a better song. If that even makes sense. Do you have any songs like that? Even though you consider a song better, you'd rather hear something else?
It's funny. Take Me Home has the same drum parts the entire song,
And if you watch his concert,
but it sounds like it's getting like a crescendo throughout the whole song.
Yes.
It sounds like it's getting.
and I think they've showed Phil Collins' concert on TV. I don't even think somebody's legitimately playing drums
it's,
until you have the boom. It's a drum machine, which
Yeah.
a drum machine was, and synthesizers got really popular in the 80s. I actually would consider buying a drum machine just to come up with drum parts for back, but that would mean you're not playing the drums anymore.
Oh, man, they're probably too expensive.
But it's probably easier to write music that way, so I could see the benefit of it.
All right. Well, the only one you're not on there, I'm gonna guess, is number 1. Don't Lose My Number.
Oh, did I? No,
Did you miss it?
I missed one.
Oh, you missed one.
I
How did we skip
skipped.
that?
So I went from Easy Lover to Susudio. Number 4, back to number 4. Oops. Don't Lose My Number. I had it as number 5. He has number 4. So it's legitimately
Next
number
week
4.
we're gonna be on number 7, now number 10, now number 3. We're not gonna go in
What'll
order.
happen when I'm going back and forth between looking up and down? So yeah, Don't Lose My Number, and that was, we already talked. That's the one that's the parody videos.
Yeah.
I think the one that stands out is you can tell he's clearly parodying Elton John in the one I'm Still Standing. You know, he's on the beach with the models on both sides.
Oh, I was thinking of the Cars.
Oh yeah, he did. I haven't
You
seen-
might think where he's
I
the
haven't,
fly.
I haven't seen that video in a long
I
time.
was yeah. I think
Um,
spots it.
And then the samurai and the western, those are just parodies of movies. Because him and the guy are talking about western movies, and that's why they started with the western.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Great
so
sandwich.
now you can really guess what number 1 is.
Oh, it's gonna be the other one that I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore.
yeah.
Again, I put mine way down to number 3. He's got it at number 2.
Yeah.
Sounds like you'd actually have it at number 1, except the other one's so
Iconic.
So I don't care anymore. You know, that's a drummer song right there.
Yeah.
And
And that was a song where I saw, I looked up somebody's reaction video. First time viewing, I'm like, nope, I don't believe it.
nope, no. And not only that, but you know, one of the things I like to do is that you always want to actually end the song when he actually ends the song, because you don't know when he's going, no more, no more. You're like, don't let me say one less or one more. I want to end just when he does.
Oh, I already know how many there are. There's 7.
Yes,
That's
I
why
counted.
I'm
I know. But it used to be where I'd be like, oh, I thought that was
Yeah,
the end,
yeah.
and it kept going. So that was the number 1. By the way, I want to go back to Take Me Home. For anybody who's a Bone Thug or Harmony, there's a rap group called Bone Thugs and Harmony. They actually asked permission to use Phil Collins' "Take Me Home" lyric, actually vibe, and then he actually did his chorus part in their rap song. It's called "Home," so that's why you have "Take Me Home," so they can use it. But it's pretty cool. It's actually a pretty cool
This,
song.
here-
He's actually in the video song with them.
So does Weird Al have a Phil Collins parody? Do we
I
know?
was thinking that too. I don't.
You don't
know
know
that he does.
if we do an extra for Phil Collins.
We'll have to look it up.
Weird Al.
I'm guessing he doesn't. But then Weird Al has a lot of medleys where he'll do two verses.
Yeah.
He could have put him in one of there, but I don't recall him ever having
Yeah, I don't.
parody. So we'll keep watching for that. That was our top 10 list. I don't care anymore. Neither one of us actually put it at number 1. So unlike Power of Love, which was both our number 1s, this wasn't our number 1.
But again,
because of the rankings,
like you said, In the Air Tonight and I Don't Care Anymore, they're like this, and I'm like, well, I had to pick one, so
Yes.
that could have been one.
and again, I'll reiterate what I said before. So here's Chris's top 10. No Jacket Required, favorite album. So number 1 is In the Air Tonight, came from Face Value. Number 2, I Don't Care Anymore, which came from Hello, I Must Be Going. Number 3, Easy Lover, that came from a Philip Bailey CD. And what's number 4? Don't Lose My Number. Oh, we finally got to a song that's on No Jacket Required at number 4. However, so number 4 and number 5 came from No Jacket Required. So when you look at the overall album, that's why. But he likes those other songs just a tad more. Which means when you look at these first couple of albums, they had that one good song, and then the rest of it, crap. Not all
We
crap.
can't say it's crap. We're trying to defend 80s music.
Yes, but that's why these wouldn't be considered as iconic. Because he was just up here. He was an average 80s musician, and here he just went into superstar status. So that's where you have it. So that's our number 2 artist. Next video will be our number 3 artist.
Yeah, so leave a comment on what your favorite Phil Collins song is.
And next week, I'll give you this hint. 2 hints, actually. 1, he's a piano player. Several people could
He's
be
a piano man?
Could be. I don't know. You had Elton John pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
Here, second hint. His last name is the same as my first name. We'll end with that. See you next time.
Say.
Bye.